Hello and welcome to Take the Black. It's a podcast. We talk about fantasy and sci-fi stuff, especially the world of Westeros, Essos, Sothorios on a good week, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, all that good stuff. As usual, I am one of your hosts, Daniel Roman, editor of winteriscoming.net, and I am psyched as always to be joined by my co-host, Marq Nettles of House of Nettles. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, y'all. And you didn't say Althos. Did I say that right?
I
Althos?
It's because I forgot. I'm comfortable enough with my Song, Vice, and Fire fandom to admit forgetting Althos. That named continents.
What? Who doesn't remember Althos, the most important, non-important continent in Westeros?
Absolutely. Factors in massive ways. If you don't know about Althos, you don't know.
Not a real fan.
You're Jon Snow if you don't know about that.
But you know what? I do want to say I'm happy to be here. 2 reasons. Because we're getting to talk about some more House of the Dragon season 3.
Yeah.
And I got my new shirt on, Pokemon shirt with my Pikachu. And I'm like, oh, okay, I like Pikachu. I'm old enough to play Pokemon Yellow when it was released in America for the first time. But in the pocket, it has a secret Raichu. Why? You can't really see it because I'm not going to bend up to show you. But I'm like, why is there a Raichu in here? This is just such a random thing for nobody to see except me. But I guess I know Raichu's there. So I'm good with that.
That's kind of wonderful. Like who wouldn't want a Raichu just in their shirt pocket, keeping them company throughout the day? I would.
Exactly. That's why I'm happy I get to share with all of you.
Yeah, if you are listening on audio, I'm sorry you also didn't get to see Mark's Raichu. I'd say go look at the video. You should go look at the video, like, subscribe, all that stuff. But don't expect to see the Raichu on the video either.
But you can see the Pikachu. You can see the Pikachu.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so today we are looking back at House of the Dragon season 3. The season is over. It's been over for about a week and change as we're recording this. And it was a big one. I feel like it really came in and set the show to rights. You know, it had some speed bumps, especially for people who've read the book, who've got hang-ups, as some of us do. I'm definitely not self-incriminating here. But the season as a whole was pretty epic. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to look back, talk about our highlights, our lowlights, all that kind of stuff, as well as a little bit about season 4, what happens now, because apparently we need to go on with our lives, even though there's no House of the Dragon. So yeah, you ready to talk deets on season 3 here, Mark? How's it feel?
More hot D conversations, the better. The one hot D to rule them all. We can finally put everything to rest and put all our emotions and feelings and let y'all know our thoughts 2 weeks out.
Yes. Yeah. This is our conclusive putting a pin in House of the Dragon season 3. We'll obviously still talk about House of the Dragon. Who are we kidding? This podcast is named Take the Black. We're not just going to stop talking about Game of Thrones, but this is our final word on the season, as it were. So, Mark, let me start things off here. Big picture. Was this season, coming out of season 2, I think a lot of people had some mixed feelings, we can say, because, there was a whole bunch of stuff where season 2 was supposed to be 10 episodes. They wrote it as 10 episodes. So presumably it would have ended with Rhaenyra taking the Iron Throne. Then David Zaslav took over Warner Brothers Discovery. They got the order from on high to cut it to 8. We know this for a fact. I'm not just speculating. And then the writer's strike happened right after that. So they couldn't rewrite season 2 at all to make it a more conclusive season. So the result was the finale of season 2 was just kind of set up, and then it sent us off into the cold darkness of 2 years to wait to see how it would all pay off. With all that in mind, was season 3 everything you personally hoped it would be?
It was better than season 2. And I can say that with my head held up high. This was a better season than season 2. It didn't hit every point that I wanted this season to hit, where I thought it would be if you asked me before season 1 came out, where we would be at season 3. But I'm not saying we got bad television. I've said this before. Yeah. This was a solid season of TV. I'm happy. I watched it. Was I frustrated in moments? Was I like, what are they doing? Don't as a I'm not a book purist, but when I see something change and I'm like, I don't know, you didn't do it better. Don't change that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I watched it. I'll always watch everything Westeros. It's my all these damn Game of Thrones books. George R. Martin, you got my money. You got my so I'm gonna keep watching them.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I feel like you had my thoughts pretty well too. I think if anyone's saying this is not better than season 2, that's not very. Are you a serious person? Is kind of my response. Yeah, I think it was easily better than season 2. Season 2 still has some highlights that like are probably always going to go down as some of highlights for the series. Like Rook's Rest is like an all timer as far as I'm concerned. But I think season 3 was overall just a way stronger season of television. It did not end with a weak little plot. It ended with a bang, with probably the best finale the franchise has had in quite a while. Like we've had good finales, obviously, but the finale is so rarely the big centerpiece episode in a season of Game of Thrones that it stands out when it's something like this season where they really made the finale a big event to end things. Yeah, I mean, I agree with, were there moments I was frustrated? Yes. Were there moments I literally recall a few times where I was like, what are they doing? Why are they doing it like this? And just to be clear here, like, I'm not a book purist either. Like, I like Fire and Blood's okay. Like it's basically a glorified outline. I love George R. R. Martin. I've read so many of his books. I wouldn't put Fire and Blood in my top 5 of his books or even probably top 10. But it's hard, when you see that it is a glorified outline, but the outline's pretty good. So when they change things significantly, it's like, okay, we're doing this instead. So we can kind of talk about that too, because now you have me curious about changes you liked and didn't like. Which actually, maybe we should just do that. I was going to say, let's start with like our favorite episode. Well, yeah, let's do that first so that we're not diving straight into they changed this thing I didn't like as the top of the episode. So what was your favorite episode this season and why?
You know what? Before this season, they were talking about this experimental episode that they were going to try something different from one character's perspective. And I was completely against it. I was scared from season 2. I said, I don't want to see it. But then episode 3 came out, titled Rhaenyra's Triumphant, and they won me over. We got to see everything from her perspective for majority of the episode. Of course, at the beginning, we did see the beginnings of Ormond's Green Army and the taking of the fake Daeron plot. But just seeing how Rhaenyra was trying to deal with the city, trying to rule, and everything just not going her way. Everything just seeing like what's going on. She doesn't know how to. It's like she's standing on quicksand and she's expected to walk across a 20-foot room. Like nothing was working, nothing was going towards her. And then the plot line with Corlys and his sons not getting legitimized, and Corlys just losing it. In the background of the episode, you just see him. He looks like he is done and defeated. And the one thing he wanted, he didn't get, and just so many more things. But I think that was probably my favorite episode from this season.
Man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Like, I think it might be mine too. I think when we look back on House of the Dragon, as a finished series when they do season 4, I think Rhaenyra Triumphant is gonna be one of like the episodes of the series that people remember, that comes up anytime we talk about the best episodes of the series, because it did something just so different than we've ever gotten from this franchise. Like there's outside of Dunk and Egg, and which is just a different beast because the whole thing of Dunk and Egg is it's their perspective. So you never are seeing really anything that's not Dunk or in the show Egg. But like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon never goes down to just one POV like it did for Rhaenyra Triumphant. And, it's a testament to how good an episode of television that was, that there are things I didn't like in it, and I still think it's my favorite episode of the season. Like it's between that and the Treasons at Tumbleton for me. Those are my two favorites. But like the fake Daeron plot line you mentioned, I didn't mind it too much in the episode, but in hindsight, I'm like, that was so kind of pointless, and it raised all these questions of like, is Daeron's hair dyed. Now Ryan Condal's out there saying, "Is it? I think it's more interesting if it's not dyed." So like, I don't even know if they decided an official choice there or they just winged it and whatever. So the fake Darren plot line kind of opens some cans of worms. Kind of feels like it was just completely forgotten about after that episode. But that episode's still so good that I'm like, who cares? So yeah, I think I'm with you. I think it's Rhaenyra triumphant for me too.
Yeah, you know what? And I just like that was like one of the first, and excuse my language, first fuck yous to Rhaenyra. Just middle fingers to the sky.
Yeah.
You don't even know what your half brother looks like. We're just gonna trick you this way, and you're just gonna look bamboozled, and just have you looking silly. And you're gonna send this young man to the wall for no reason.
Yeah, seriously, and then pat yourself on the back. And she dodges that bullet thanks to Allison, who then gives her another bullet with which to shoot herself in the foot, which is, why don't you declare Aegon dead? And then she just does it without thinking too hard about it. And obviously we saw that come around to bite her by the finale. So yeah, great episode, Rhaenyra triumphant. So in terms of characters this season, there were a lot of them, lot of returning faces we loved, a lot of new faces like Ormond Hightower and Darren Targaryen, Roddy the Ruin, Black Allie, uncredited Black Allie. I mean, the actress is in the end credits as a guest star, but we don't ever hear the name Black Allie in the show so far, or Alyson Blackwood. You'd be forgiven for not knowing she's the daughter of a noble house, because we know literally nothing about her in this show. But so characters, who was your MVP? Who disappointed you the most? And who surprised you the most?
Ooh, see, this is gonna be a good one. And I got a lot of choices, but for MVP, I would say Ormond Hightower the whole way through. It had a whole. How do you have a whole spy networks already set up in King's Landing, ready to go, feeding them information, getting them to kill Gold Cloaks, destabilizing the city, all from Tumbleton? This almost is Tumbleton important in trading in the TV show? Yes. Is it really a stronghold? And this man was able to, of course, Rhaenyra didn't want to burn the whole city because all those people there bent the knee to her, at least the Lord and Lady did. But still, he sat up there and said, "You're not going to do anything to me for all these weeks, probably months, I'm assuming, in the time frame of the television show." And he was right. So Ormond was definitely my MVP. You want me to go all the way?
It's a good choice. You can't argue with Ormond.
Yes. Do you got one, or you want me to go through all mine?
You know what? We can bounce back and forth. My MVP, I think, was Aegon.
Ooh.
I think Aegon. Ormond is like, you got to give the respect to Ormond. He was fantastic. He's going to leave a hole in the show. I love that he was just a 1-season arc, comes on, steals the show every time he's on screen, and then he's out. But I think for me, Aegon was my MVP because I just enjoyed every time he was on screen, which wasn't a lot this season. I always sat up a little straighter. I always paid a little more attention. I love that they got the vibes of like Tyrion and Varys on the road in Essos from season 5. They got that vibe going a little bit with Aegon and Larys. A lot of what they did for them, it's all off book, but they had the freedom to do an arc for Aegon there at Rook's Rest that, they didn't have to break anything too much to do it. Sunfire's Return is a little different. There are things near the end that they made some, rabbit holes for themselves. But I think Aegon, especially near the end, his scene where he gets to really come back with Sunfire is just, you root for this dude who sucked. He sucked. Like, he was fun to watch, but like, he was not a great guy. Like Larys is right. You were a terrible dude. But you can't help but root for him at times. So yeah, it's Aegon for me.
Yeah, I love how Aegon makes you feel conflicted every time. You're like, I remember who you were, what you were in season 1. And it's like, am I forgetting that? Do I feel bad for you? I do feel bad. We really get to see. You went from being the king of Westeros, ruler, protector, dragon rider, most beautifulest dragon in the Seven Kingdoms in the world. and he lost it all. Like I lost what beauty I did have, gone, dragon gone, crown can't even wear it, face burnt off. What the family trying to kill me, half of them. Like what do I have left?
Yeah.
So just to see him try to ask people finally just get a gut check and be like, what do I need? What can I do in this situation? And just see him just finally put on his last stand. Like, I'm not going to balk. I'm going to be the king and I'm going to hold my head up high. Worked out for him. Sometimes when you just believe in yourself, it does work out. And he got his dragon back and now, hey, I'm happy to see what he does past this point.
Yeah, me too. He's a character I'm really looking forward to see in the 4th and final season. So who disappointed you the most?
Real quick.
Yeah,
I do want to say a quick honorable mention to Helena. Probably the most screen time she's ever gotten. I enjoyed seeing her on the screen, going through her plot of just trying to protect her children up until the end, where she tried to fly one more time. Probably don't do that.
Oof.
Your daughter falling past your daughter's window. She's probably like, oh. So
Didn't think about that, I guess. Yeah,
not the best choice, but I do want to give her an honorable mention.
Helena's a great honorable mention. I mean, this was the best material I think that Fia Saban had as Helena, and yeah, I mean, it was enough to really cement like I'll miss Helena. The show will be less bright without her as a character in it, which is kind of the point, you know, of this point in the story. We got nothing but darkness from here on out. A little surprised neither of us chose Emma Darcy, but I'm sure we'll talk about that as we go. We'll get there. I have a feeling. So who disappointed you most?
Ooh, I have 2 names written down. This is one of the toughest decisions of my life.
You can honorable mention. You were the honorable mention for disappointment. Doesn't have quite the same ring.
You know what? I'll say this. My honorable mention for disappointment will be Massaria. Not that I was expecting a lot, but for the Mistress of Whispers, she wasn't whispering anything of note, anything for me to say, oh man, she has a really concrete spy network, or she's able to move information, get information, send it out to the people.
Does she?
No. I got tired of her saying, you cannot trust Damon. I'm like, all right, tell us something else.
Yeah, that's a good one. I share that disappointment for sure. With that whole trifecta in general, I thought they were going to do a lot more with the Mysaria, Damon, Rhaenyra, instead of just, you know, it's a love triangle and they're at odds. I feel like they could have made it much more interesting. So yeah, I feel that. So Mysaria's your honorable mention for disappointment.
Yeah.
Who takes the sad crown?
The sad crown from what I enjoyed about them in season 1. I was hyped for them every time I saw them in season 2. But then this season happened. And from the episode 3 to 8, I was like, what are you doing?
Oh,
and
it's got to be Aemon.
Gotta be. I don't know what it is about Harrenhal. I hope, and I know we got to go back there. The plot goes to die. Like, oh my goodness, 2 seasons in a row. It's like, I am not having a good time here. I feel like they could have wrapped all that up that he was doing up there with Alice Rivers. They could have. It must have been contracted that he be in every episode, because you could have put that in episodes 7 and 8, all their scenes, and I would have been fine and left it at that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you can't argue with that one. It's amazing to me that Harrenhal Damon got, you know, probably the most wide criticism from season 2 that a lot of people just didn't like. Even people who did like it at first, it just got old. Like, I loved it at first when he was there and he saw Millie Alcock. I was like, oh, this is so cool. By the time Viserys came around, I was like, oh my God, like, we're just formulaically doing this every episode. So I guess kudos for not making Aemon quite as formulaic. But yeah, they got Ryan Condal's in a room somewhere laughing at people who were mad about Damon, because I was in disbelief that they did the exact same thing with Aemon this season. So I think that's a pretty fair one.
Yes. It's a surprise to us all. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, all right, after the 4th episode, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm like, oh no, we're doing this again. This is all happening. And the dragon left. I'm like, oh, okay. Never really came back around to that. I guess season 4 is going to be a hunt for Vagar with the 8 episodes they have left.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. Aemond is interesting to me because there are things. This is again with like the book changes. There are things that happen for Aemond at Harrenhal. It still baffles me that he never saw Kristen Cole there. Like that's their whole thing in the book. They take Harrenhal together, and then like they camp out there and wait for reinforcements. The reinforcements never come, and then they disagree about what to do next. And Kristen Cole takes off on the path he goes on in the show, and Aemon goes around burning villages. So we don't get any of that, and instead he's just Alice Rivers' love prisoner, the wife of Black Heron's love prisoner. So yeah, that's a pretty fair one. Not the best season for Aemon, even though, yeah, I was gonna say even though Ewan Mitchell did a great job, which he did. Respect Ewan, but then I remembered the Oedipus of it all, and I'm like, man, yeah, it really wasn't the best season for Aemon.
It really leaned into that. Like the kiss was enough. I believed him.
I believed him. You didn't need to do it again in episode 7 and make that the climax of Allison's entire arc this season. Yeah, so that's a good one.
But who did you have that disappointed you? Was there somebody more disappointing than Aemon?
Yeah, so I think the one that comes immediately to mind, it's hard because this is another instance where it's not the actors' faults. It's the arc that was planned for them. I think my honorable mention is going to be Alicent. I've been waiting since this show started, since the Driftmark episode where Alicent tried to shank Rhaenyra when Aemon got his eye cut out. I've been waiting for this arc of this season, which is Alicent as Rhaenyra's prisoner. Thinking they had so much focus on Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship in this show. They've made it the central relationship of the series. And here's the opportunity to really do a lot of interesting things with these two characters who are finally supposed to be in the same place. Not like season 2, where it's like they're having these kind of outrageous clandestine meetings. Like here we have the thing that's laid out, which is Alicent as Rhaenyra's prisoner. What kind of interesting things can we do with that? And they had a few good scenes together. And then they just like jettisoned her out of King's Landing, but like they took her out of the most interesting place she had been in that it had been working towards since the end of season 1. And on top of that, they just kind of used out. It really felt to me like they didn't know what to do with Alicent. So like she's getting kissed by her own son. She's getting sexually assaulted by Jasper Wilde, which is just never mentioned again. Like they're really just plugging in awful stuff for Alicent, and I wanted more from her. I think this was a season she should have had more. So she's my honorable disappointment mention. I'm mad on behalf of Alicent and Olivia Cook for season 3.
I feel like you made me mad all over again because it didn't make you to do all that setup in season 1 and to have those crazy scenes in season 2. You're like, man, they must have some very interesting conversations that they want these two characters to have. Like, and I was ready. I was here for it. I was sat. And did they have good conversations? Yes. But was there anything that you can walk away and be like, oh, that was an iconic going back and forth each episode? Like, no, not really. So I'm all with you on that honorable mention.
Yeah. It's kind of baffling with Alicent because I feel like this show, for as good of scenes as it writes for some of these characters, it also has a habit of like taking them out of really interesting places they were in the book and not really filling that void well. Like Alicent was also supposed to be there for Blood and Cheese in season 2. She's not. Like she's in the next room with Kristen Cole, fine. But that's very different than her getting tied up and being forced to watch all that stuff happen. So there are some really juicy things for some of these characters that you can only experience if you read the book at this point. So yeah, she's my honorable mention. The one who disappointed me most, and again, it's not the actor's fault. It is just what this show did with this character, who it seemed like they kind of didn't really want to introduce anyway, is Daeron Targaryen. I was very excited for Daeron Targaryen, Daeron the Daring. He's never been my favorite of the Targaryen brothers on the green side, but he's an interesting character in the book who does a lot of cool stuff. He saves the day at the Battle of the Honeywine, which is where he gets the nickname Daeron the Daring. He has this beautiful blue dragon, Tessarion, the Blue Queen. There's all this stuff that makes Darren, like, you look at him and it's like, oh, this is like the honorable good side of this is how the Greens could be better, even though he burns down a town himself too. So like he's still got a dark streak, but I saw someone compare him to like an Alexander the Great like type character, and like there's kind of that vibe for Darren. Like he's a teenager, but he has a dragon. He's really important for this army, and they still made him important in the show, but he mostly just stays in a room or two and gets psychologically abused by Ormond. His dragon is locked up all season. It just felt like they looked at all these very interesting things that are in the source material for Darren and thought, we don't need to do any of that. And we saw with Aegon that they can do off-book stuff and do it well. But I don't think what they replaced, like Darren in the show, is just a different character. It's a little reminiscent of what they did with Jace in season 2, where like Jace should have had a little bit more. He spends a lot of time in the north and we didn't see any of that stuff like that. So yeah, Darren is my most disappointing character, unfortunately.
Yeah, how do you take the daring out of Daron and Darren? Like that's the thing. It's like these and I understand, it's always that crowd, well, it's an unreliable history book, but it's like, yeah, but that's a real cool thing you took out. And did you make his character better by excluding it? Better for even your television show? Like,
yeah,
I feel like he said interesting things, but he really, it wasn't put to action. Like, hey, I need to be there for my men. I need to do this. I need to do X, Y, and Z. He never got a moment to stand up to his uncle. Cousin, whatever the relationship is between him and Ormond. He never got a chance
cousin? Yeah.
Weird, but he never got a chance to do any of that, and now it's like the season just went by him. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. All the potential of it just gone.
Yeah, totally. I still can't believe we didn't see him flying to Sarian once this season. That's crazy. I think. So yeah, I mean, I've like you said, I think we can forgive a lot if what you're changing is better. Like Aegon getting Sunfire back and burning the Mootons is different than what happens in the book, and it does change how their reunion plays out. But it's a banger of a scene, so no one's mad about it, And Darren's the opposite. They changed everything about Darren as a character, and I think you're right. I think what they filled that void with is just not very interesting, which is a shame. So, yeah, there's my disappointment. Who surprised you? Anyone that surprised you this season?
Honorable mention surprise, and I'm going to say it. I enjoyed Sheep Stealer. Shout out to the Dragon Sheep Stealer.
Yeah.
Did I enjoy their plotline? No, but did I like the dragon? I like how they made the dragon look. I enjoyed how they show like, hey, this is a wild dragon. They're a little temperamental. It's not going to be like riding Caraxes, who the next rider could just hop on top of them. Once Damien went to the upper room, if Caraxes is still here, you can just ride Caraxes. It's like, no, that it doesn't work like this for this wild dragon. I think that was very cool to see.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a great honorable mention. Sheep Stealer was friggin' cool.
I saw somebody have some crazy theory that Sheep Stealer was only weak when that little dragon fight because they had given birth to a dragon egg. that dragon poop that we saw Bela and Adam next to, and I'm like, it looks like the dragon nest from Dragonstone. I'm like, I like it. I don't think it's true, but I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
But my biggest surprise of the season for a character, I'm gonna give it to Gawain Hightower, Sir Gawain Hightower.
Good choice.
Yeah, because in the books he gets sent to the upper room. He gets killed by Rhaenyra's men when she takes the city because he was controlling one of the gates of King's Landing. That's completely different in the television show. They kept him alive. They had him with Kristen Cole. We get to see their relationship, how, hey, they had opposing views of how to handle things. He goes all the way over to Tumbleton, treats with his cousin. It's like, hey, man, you're asking what I'm doing. What are you doing? You done made my little nephew here a king against his will. If he gets caught, he's going to end his life. And Gawain does everything he can to try to protect his nephew, telling his nephew to run, trying to treat with the other side, trying to just get his cousin to calm down in Ormond Hightower and how he's treating his little nephew. Like, it it was an interesting character to see, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy Gwen so much going into this season.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think that is the choice for the most surprising character. That's just so good. Yeah, Gwen went from being a character I liked but was kind of indifferent about to like the most likable person still on the show essentially this season. Like he had great material, and that's another really good example of when the show changes something and it is better for the television show, people are so going to go along. Like no one is mad that Gawain didn't die at King's Landing. I've not seen a single fan complain about that, and the fans love to complain in this fandom. I see you. I know. I am one of you. But I've never seen anyone complain about Gawain still being around, and that's because he's been awesome. He's been so good.
Yeah, more Gawain. How they're going to do that, I don't know, but hopefully we're at least going to get some more Gawain for one more season. We know that for a fact.
That's right. So my surprising characters, honorable mention, Sir Luther Largent, character I thought nothing about before this season, expected absolutely nothing from. I thought it was kind of an interesting choice to make him a charismatic gold cloak who's serving Rhaenyra, and like he got some decent material for the couple of episodes he was in. We're so used to gold cloaks being like Janos Slynt, which is a little bit how Luther Largent is presented in Fire and Blood. Like he's like kind of a brute, big, nasty dude who brutalizes people. And they did still keep the brutal streak for Luther Largent, but he plays it in a more charming way between those moments that I like I said, I had no expectations, and I was like, this guy's kind of interesting. So he can have it because you already took Sheep Stealer, which was a good one.
Yeah, I like Luther for the fact that if you say, hey, this is the downfall of the House Targaryen from this point, because we know we're going to lose a lot of dragons, that is this kind of the downfall for the gold cloaks in the television show? Is it like a slippery slope from this point? Lost all their leadership. It's going to be a whole bunch of new people thrust in these positions. And we see how much honor means to Daemon. Are they going to still try to uphold those same values for after losing Luther Largent?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is probably no. Probably not until the Dance of the Dragons is done, and then we'll see what the regents and whoever else do to bring him back in line. But that won't be in the show. So, yeah, the character who surprised me most, my first pick for this, is going to be Tyland Lannister here. I thought they killed Tyland. Tyland is a great example of, is this show fucking with the book fans who love to sit on their soapboxes shouting about changes and stuff like that? Because it seemed like they killed Tyland off at the Battle of the Gullet. They set it up. They did it in a fun way with Shirako Lohar. And then they brought him back. And that was a fun fake out death. And then by the end of the season, Tyland he went from, again, a character I really just did not particularly care much one way or the other about, kind of the less memorable of the Lannister brothers in this show, to like such a bro at that twilight hour where the army's looking for him and he's like, I can't leave his grace alone to face an army that's meant for me, and he's there to make the final stand with Aegon. And yeah, he's given House Lannister a real good name, I think. Tyland.
Yeah, who's not a House Lannister fan? And shout out to Tyler for the fact that I like the fake out death, but if it would have happened the other way, he would have died at the end of season 2 instead of beginning this season. So when the list for the characters would have came out, we would have said, "Oh, they're bringing Tyland back." But now, like, they got to say, like, he's here, he's dead. Wait a minute, here he is at the end of the episode, and now we got a Lannister back.
Yeah, that's true. That reveal probably wouldn't have worked as well if the season wasn't structured the way it was. I think Rhaenyra triumphant is another one of those moments where, like, if that was the season premiere, that episode, I don't think it would have worked as well as it did here as episode 3 after the big opening. So yeah, that all sounds good. Now I'm going to hit you with book changes. This is not on our outline because it came up organically, the best sorts of conversations. Was there a book change that you particularly loved or hated? One of each.
I'm going to go with hated first. And that
It's easier.
even though I said I enjoyed Sheep Stealer as a dragon and the characteristics they gave him, I did not enjoy the change between him and or her. I don't know what Sheep Stealer's gender is, and Raina, combining her character with the arc of Nettles. I know what they were trying. It seems like they wanted us to have her finally get her dragon. Of course, things go wrong, but she doesn't want to give up her dragon because she feels like that's giving up a part of herself. And she pleads with her father, who they want us to believe ignored her all this time, and say, "I just want this one thing." And I'm like, yeah, but you are being unreasonable. Like you really think Rhaenyra would kill you? You think death is on the table, or she would have been upset and just kind of? I feel like she would have probably treated you a little worse than Bela, and that's you go.
Yeah,
she would use you in this war, and then you would be asked to live on the other side of the continent, but you wouldn't have lost your life. And I think they wanted us to believe that this unreasonableness was reasonable, and I don't think they ever crossed that threshold.
Yeah, I think again, just like with Gwaine, that's the choice right there. I think of all the changes they made this season, I think combining Raina and Nettles did the biggest disservice to the story as a whole. You know, Nettles is a great character. It's one of the few characters George R. R. Martin has said if he could write more books to explore certain characters, Nettles is a character he named that he thinks is interesting and he'd love to write more about. You know, she kind of upends this idea that only Targaryens and people with noble blood can be dragon riders, because she's a peasant who doesn't seem to be related, even though there are theories she could be a bastard and whatever of a Targaryen, who tames this dragon through guile and wits and being good with sheep and feeding him sheep and befriending him. But yeah, I think we lost obviously the Nettles storyline from the show. We also lost the potential for Raina. I know that they've said, Ryan Condal and other people attached to the show have said that they like the idea of this princess going feral with a dragon and how interesting that was. But I don't think they really either wanted to or had the time to explore that fully. Like we didn't get any scenes of Raina just like with Sheep Stealer in their cave to let us know what their relationship is. So by the time that big dragon fight happens, we don't really know whether Raina loves Sheep Stealer. We don't know if it's like a King Kong situation where it's like she's with the dragon, but she's also kind of the prisoner of the dragon because it's attached to her. Like the show just didn't fill in any of those blanks for us. And Raina in the book stays in the Vale with Jane Eyre, where the show had the potential to do like an interesting, like learning what soft power means in this universe type of storyline, like it would do for Sansa or Cersei or someone like that in Game of Thrones, where, Jane Eyre was a total standout character. She would be on my list of surprises as well. But, scenes of Raina learning what it means to rule from Jane Eyre and stuff, I think we lost the opportunity for that too. So there are a bunch of, I know that was your most hated one, but obviously I hated it too, because there are just so many angles to that I don't think worked.
Yeah, it's that thing of you changed it, like we talked about earlier, but you did not make it better. Yeah. Like if the change has to either stay the same, like okay, same level of quality, or improve. And I'm like, you tried something. You tried something that didn't work out.
Yeah,
I'll hold my hands back.
Yeah.
But one thing, a change that I very much enjoyed would be just seeing Alan in the small council room, Alan of Hall, Alan Valerian, whatever you want to call him, just being more involved with the plot, being able to, we understand why he is the chosen heir, even though I understand in the books, he's technically the younger brother, he never got the dragon, but we just see more of his relationship with his father, and him wanting to do good by him wanting to be a person who earned the name Valerian. And I think they did a good job on that. It seems like we might have been missing a scene or two between him hooking up with his niece to making that drastic turn and willing to do anything for Rhaenyra. It's probably like an episode they wrote or had an outline for. They didn't make it, but I enjoyed getting to see more of Alan.
Yeah, that's very true, and agreed. I liked Alan a lot too. I think he's a character. He's much older in the show, so they're just by nature doing different things with him, and I think it's a good example of they change stuff, but it's working for what they're doing.
Yeah, that's
What were you gonna say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I was about to say, yeah, that was a good change. It was definitely interesting when I first saw it. I was like, oh, you're making him the older brother, but he's not supposed to be older. It's supposed to be Alan and all this. But like, okay, I see what you're doing. Change it. He doesn't have the dragon, so what's gonna make him stand out is he is the one who's more closely aligned to everything that Corliss does, being a seaman. Probably close to being that same type of ruler and leader as his pops. So it's fun. We get to see just more of his character.
Yeah.
Earlier in the story than we do in Fire and Blood.
Totally agree. So my again, the thing I did hate the most was Reyna and Nettles. But if I have to pick another one, I'll pick a smaller one here because there are a lot that I was really conflicted on. But I think cutting the fish feed was one that really nettled me, because we got that big dragon fight near the end, so we know this was not a case. I know that budget always comes up here, and I don't necessarily think they needed to do a huge massive set piece for the fish feed, but like the thing about the fish feed is in the book, this is the bloodiest land battle of the entire war, where the Winter Wolves and the River Host catch the rest of the Lannister army, what's left of it, against the God's Eye. Aemond and Kristen are waiting for those reinforcements, and they trap them there, and they kill them by just repeatedly charging them and forcing them back into the lake. And it is horrible. And everyone who survives it is like traumatized. Thousands and thousands of people are dead. And I think it's one of those things where, looking at the priorities for this season, I understand they probably didn't do it because they wanted to save that Riverlands battle set piece for the Butcher's Ball, which you need the Butcher's Ball, so that's not the wrong choice necessarily if you have to pick one. But I do think we lost something there by not having the fish feed, and it's hard for me to fathom looking at the book and being like, yeah, this is something we're going to turn into a jolly camp song, and we can do without. Like, just feels like a very weird reading of what's laid out in the source material. So that's the one that, aside from Nettles, I probably didn't like the most.
Yeah, I wish we would have got it because it is one of those major turning points in the story. And I understand maybe we couldn't show, of course, we couldn't show a whole battle like they had at Tumbleton, but you can show half. You can show the beginning, and make us as an audience understand, like, oh, they're pushing them into that water. That's gonna not be good for people wearing a whole bunch of armor, and we can get it. And bam, go to the next scene. We can have them singing the song. We're like, oh, that is we clearly won. Yeah, 18 black, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so hopefully maybe next time let's not cut any battles, guys. Well, I guess they can at this point. We only a few battles left. We know we're gonna get them.
Yeah. I'm nervous about the Battle of the King's Road, but as long as we get second Tumbleton, I will live, I guess. We need second Tumbleton. I'm just grateful they didn't merge it with the first Tumbleton. Yeah, my pie in the sky is I wish they had done something more like psychological for the fish feed, like bust out that dunk helmet cam from A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms or something, and just don't make it huge and expensive, but just make us understand why this is terrible instead of making it a jolly little party. So yeah, that's one I didn't like. One that I liked.
You didn't say love. that was a soft like.
One that I loved. You know what? I'm going to go with the characterization for Ormond. Because Ormond is a total nothing burger character in the book. He's forgettable. He basically just exists to get the Greens to Tumbleton so that more interesting characters can become front and center after that. He's very much not, he's the least interesting Hot Tower out of all of them, really, kind of, in the book. And the show took that and turned him into the most memorable villain of the series so far, or one of the most memorable villains of the series so far. So yes, there were choices they made with Ormond that I thought were weird, like having Darren kill Kat's brother that again is never mentioned again. It's another one of those things like the fake Darren plotline where it's like, okay, did this really impact things if we're never going to talk about it again? But I do think Ormond as a character is miles better than what we got in the book. So I'll pick that.
Oh, 100%. That was it's especially like you said, he's just a vehicle to get them there instead of like showing how he's just a mastermind. It's okay to have mustache twirling villains. It's okay to have people you're conflicted about. Am I conflicted about Ormond? No. But he had his mustache and it was twirling, and I was here every time he did something. I'm like, how the heck did he do that? But I had a good time.
Yeah, totally. This is Game of Thrones, right? We need the mustache twirling villains. We need villains that are so vile that we love to hate them and get psyched when they die, like Joffrey and Ramsay Bolton. And Ormond is, I think, the closest the show has given us to one of those. And I think probably by the end, he'll really be the only one, because I don't think, Aemond and Aegon, they've done so much work to humanize those characters that even if they go fully off the rails from this point on, and Rhaenyra is obviously being awful, I think there will be a certain amount of rejoicing when Rhaenyra gets her eventual comeuppance. But those are going to be conflicted. Ormond's not conflicted. I think people were happy to see him go, even though they'll miss him.
Yes. Now, this is a random question. The characters I've been mentioned, nobody said anything about them. You think we're gonna get Unwin Peak in season 4?
Oh man, it's hard because this show has tried so hard to condense characters. The thing that always comes up in interviews is like, we're keeping this on the Targaryen perspective, and that's how they stay so tight to it that it's a total disservice to a lot of the other characters. So that's how we have someone like Black Aly, and her name's never been mentioned. That's how we presumably are not going to get the Black Aly Sabbath of Frey romance that they have in the book. That's how Roddy the Ruin he has like 3 lines before the finale of the season. I think there's a chance they introduce Unwin Peak next season, but I don't know how big of a character they'll make him.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. That's one of my favorite characters. I know a lot of his storyline. Well, I hope we get him. I thought for a second they were kind of combining his character in Ormond's character.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't know if the Ormond was going to make it through the season and they were going to give him some Unwin Peak and some Caltrop stuff. Yeah. But not. This show, it had an interesting streak of like making it seem like they were going to do something that was against the source material and then flipping it at the last second. Like Otto's another one of those, where it seemed like Otto was somewhere else and they were like, surprise, he's here to die his book death. And it's like, okay, he's been in the basement since season 2. Got it.
Oh, God. Hey, I really came out of nowhere, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
More Ormond, more High Towers. I think that's what we all want now.
Yeah, I think so after this season. And yeah, I hope we get Unwin Peak. Unwin Peak, some Benjicott, Blackwood. Give us some of those characters in season 4. We killed a lot of people this season. Which, speaking of, fun statistic that one of our writers, shout out to Richard Krause, who wrote about this. You can find an article about it on winterscoming.net. This season of House of the Dragon is tied with Game of Thrones season 8 for killing off the most main cast members. So people credited in the opening credits as a lead. Both seasons killed off 9, which is the most for the franchise. Which death hit you the hardest, Mark?
Now, are we talking about emotionally hard, or I was like, oh my goodness, this is how they went out? I feel like those are 2 different things.
You get to decide that. I'm not going to dictate to you what the question is. It's your choice. Dealer's choice.
All right. I got 2. And the first one is because I thought it was funny. and that was Sir Adrian Redford of the King's Guard when he was with Alice. He's like, I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna assassinate Aemon One Eye, I'm gonna do some cool, nice stuff with my sword, and he just gets stabbed and dies.
Yeah.
Allison goes loots his body for a knife, and I'm like, that's so. I thought he was gonna do something. I thought you were gonna be involved in something. This is how you go out. I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, agree.
The part hit me a little hard was. And I also a little funny was seeing Ormond look up to the sky, teeth broken, knife up his arse, getting burnt by a dragon. I was like, damn, what a way to go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Ormond had a great death. Ormond and Roddy the Ruin. The juxtaposition between the two of them where Ormond's just horrified. He's in awful shape. Roddy's got his arm off, but he was overjoyed to die by dragon fire. Yeah. I mean, that's probably my favorite of the deaths this season for sure. Adrian Redford, I agree with you, was I think it's funny also that Aemon didn't even kill him because he suspected anything. He's just like, there are secrets here. I can't have this rando finding out the secrets, so he just murders him before there's even a chance to find out that he was plotting to assassinate him. Is just kind of hilarious.
It's like, you were right, Aemon. You were kind of your craziness worked to your favor.
Yeah, I think the death I've found myself thinking the most about is Kristen Cole, who, you know, Kristen's a character a lot of people love to hate for a lot of the show. You know, he gave us that Game of Thrones love to hate character sort of thing for a lot of the seasons. But then halfway through season 2, he started really taking a hard shift. You know, after Rook's Rest, he kind of becomes this haunted man who realizes everything is futile and he's going to die. And, you know, there's this feeling when he leaves King's Landing that it's a one-way trip. He doesn't expect to ever come back. And I do wish they had made Kristen's kind of final doomed march, as it were, a little more like, we needed the sliver of hope there to make the Butcher's Ball hit as hard as it should have, I think. Because like, he's kind of like, I'm marching to my death, but then he's like, spare my men. It's like, my dude, if you wanted to spare your men, you shouldn't have marched them to their deaths. Like, it's a little late to be thinking about that. You know, the book, they are legit trying to get out of the Riverlands. So it's a little different there. It makes more sense. But I think losing Fabian Frankel, you know, was on the show since the first episode. I think he's probably the death of a character who had been on the show the most that we got this season. Because I think he's in more episodes than anyone else who's been killed so far in the series. So yeah, to my shock, Kristen Cole is my answer here.
Yeah, and that's one where I think they gave his character a little disservice in the series. Like you said, changing that plot at Harrenhal. I don't think he really earned the title of Kingmaker.
Yeah, that's fair.
Awesome title, at least in the show. I'm like, probably could have had him do a thing or two more, but like you said, like he was there. He was always there, good or bad. Kristen Cole was there, and to just see like he's just gone. Like, storyline's over, everyone's moving on. Only people that really mention him are Gwaine and Ormond a little bit, and that's story's done. Yeah,
totally. Are there any characters you're especially gonna miss from season 3?
I'm gonna miss Helena in her dreams.
Yeah, same.
I like always like what's she doing in the background, what she's saying. Even this whole time, she was telling us some things, but when we saw that tapestry after she did jump out that window, and we saw what she was sewing, and I was like, oh wow, what a big reveal. And now, like, we just don't get any more of that. It's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Helena too. I really enjoyed her this season, and I love that we got to see her dream this season. We saw a few dreams. We saw Dreamfire, her dragon, in the dream. And the thing I like about Helena's dreams, as opposed to Harrenhal, is that it doesn't murder character, it doesn't assassinate the characters to have Helena's dreams. And the thing we get, you know, that mysticism is a really cool element of the Song of Ice and Fire world that the television universe has at times shied away from. Like Game of Thrones, like there are a few places where it opted to go lighter on that stuff than the books do. Like we don't get Lady Stoneheart, for example. House of the Dragon has at times gone the opposite direction, because Ryan Condal and whoever writes these episodes loves a good werewood dream. So we've gotten so much of this stuff at Harrenhal, but Helena's feels like it fits a little bit better to me. So yeah, I will miss her too for multiple reasons. So I guess she's my pick too.
Yeah, a true dragon dreamer gone. It's a sad time in the world.
It is. So last question here, unless you have any for season 3 you want to talk about. Was there a specific plot line that worked best for you?
I'll say I always loved Damon, except for when he was at Harrenhal a little too long. I like the Harrenhal part, it was just a little too long. But I feel like this season, just showing him everything he was doing. My man, he's fighting up there in the Riverlands. He has to get Rhaenyra. He has to figure out the murder plots going on. He's essentially the leading the Gold Cloaks, doing the Mistress of Whispers job. Has to go lead another army. Like, I was tired for Damon, but I enjoy. And I don't know if it really counts as a plot, but he is the plot to me that was keeping everything together. And I very much just enjoyed seeing how he was moving across the board and everything he was doing to saving his daughter, or trying to get his daughter back from up there on top of sheep stealing in the Vale in the Riverlands. Like, he was everywhere.
Yeah, this really was an amazing season for Daemon. I think a lot of the changes they made for Daemon that put him more in the action were ones where it's like, you know what? I kind of like that you did this, because I might be wrong here. Correct me if I am, or people in the comments can correct me. I don't think Daemon really fights in any of the major battles in the book. Maybe a few of the skirmishes in the Riverlands, but like, he's gone by the time the fish feed happens. And I think the Red Fork, because the fall of King's Landing happens a little earlier in the book. So like, once he goes there, I don't think he really takes part in any major battles. So I like that they put him in some of these situations in the show. I think that was a good choice.
Yeah, that definitely was. We have him here. Let's use him. We got Matt Smith. Let's figure out where we can put him in more episodes, in more epic fight scenes. Have that man out there fighting. If he breaks his back like he did in season 1, he breaks his back. We got to risk it, people. Don't hurt yourself.
We need you. The show needs you, Matt Smith. You can't hurt yourself. Yeah, I think the one for me, I'll finally shout out here as we wind down on House of the Dragon season 3, is Rhaenyra Targaryen. Going into this season, I really was worried that House of the Dragon didn't have the guts to make us hate Rhaenyra, because they need to. Like, Rhaenyra Targaryen in the book, and again, book's a rough outline, you don't need to be slavish to it, but she's not a sympathetic character for a large part of the dance. The dance is not about good people being forced to be awful. It's about people grasping for power to the point where it destroys their own dynasty. And we needed to feel that from Rhaenyra, that she's really gone off the deep end. And I didn't always love how they used religion to justify it, the prophecy to justify it. I think she could have stood to just be a little more generally awful, that tax from Celtigar in the book where he lets the dragons eat people in the dragon pit, people who need to be executed, and he charges a penny to let people watch, stuff like that. I'm like, you could have included that. That would have been pretty nice. But still, by the end, Rhaenyra is murdering the High Septon. She's spouting the prophecy on Maine to the people of King's Landing, which questionable choice adaptation wise, but for what it means for her as a character, I thought was really compelling. So yeah, and I think Emma Darcy acted the hell out of it. So Rhaenyra is going to be my choice here.
I agree. That's a good choice. I love that last episode, seeing Rhaenyra, that it finally just, she got it. Like, I know what I need to do. Was it all the wrong stuff? Yes, but she knew what she needed to do. And I was here finally getting Rhaenyra the Cruel.
Yes. Yeah, me too. So a couple of quick last things. So let's talk about season 4 just a few minutes. I know we're pushing time. We're at the hour mark. We do love to go about as long as an episode of House of the Dragon here. What are you most looking forward to in season 4?
Ooh, I'm looking forward to just seeing how Rhaenyra Targaryen rules from King's Landing. What's going to be the outcome of her decision? She's killed the High Septon. She's really the outlook for the citizens, for the small folk, hasn't gotten better. They're still not being fed. You killed their religious leader. You've given a crazy speech. You started speaking gibberish in front of everyone. You don't have a good standing army within the city. Your gold cloaks are decimated. Like, what are you going to do, and what's going to be the pushback we see from King's Landing?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I feel like the thing I'm most looking forward to are the big moments, the big narrative beats that haven't happened yet, that they have set up so much that it's pretty much guaranteed they're going to do them. So like what happens to Rhaenyra? I think the biggest one is the battle above the God's Eye and the storming of the Dragon Pit. Those are two events that I'm just seated for already. I'll be seated for the next 2 years waiting for that, because I think those really have the opportunity to be all-timer sequences. And last question, any big questions or things you're wondering or that you need answers to as we head into this long night between seasons?
I wish I knew where they were going to end this story, because with only 8 episodes, I'm just unsure what's going to be a good ending point, or are we going to have to rush to get to the end of all the fighting? And that's what I'm really worried about.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I think the structure of season 4 is a big question that I have going into the break. You know, I think there are a few things that are laid out pretty well, but I'm curious how they're going to stretch the presence of some of their lead actors, because, spoiler without actually spoiling, a lot of people will die in the 4th and final season of House of the Dragon. It's a Shakespearean tragedy set in Westeros. Do not expect too many of your favorites to make it out. But I have a feeling that when you have star power like Matt Smith and Emma Darcy and Tom Glenn Carney, they're going to milk that for as long as they can. And the dance has a pretty long wind down in the book. So I'm curious where they're going to end it. I have a feeling it'll end with Hour of the Wolf, and then basically treat Hour of the Wolf like an epilogue. That's what I think will happen.
Secret 9th episode. They're gonna extend the season, and you gotta be there for it.
That's right. Yeah, the madness of Stranger Things will invade Westeros, and fans will truly lose it. So yeah, those are some things for season 4 to look forward to. We're going to be talking, more about House of the Dragon in this break, and maybe specific plot points, maybe specific characters, specific things we want to see next season, stuff like that. So if there are things you, listener, want to hear us talk about on this podcast, definitely feel free to drop us a line in the comments on YouTube, on Facebook, wherever. Let us know what you want us to discuss about House of the Dragon, because we've got time before season 4, which is set to start filming early next year.
They better.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah. So sometime in 2028, we'll be watching it. All right. So last question as we wind down our show, which is, we're probably going to do a broader episode about this next week, but just briefly here, what the hell do we do with our time now? Is there something in particular you're excited about that you're watching, reading, playing video games? How are you filling the House of the Dragon shaped hole in your life?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I finally just watched the first episode to Lanterns, which is also on HBO and HBO Max. Of course, have I read every single comic in the world? No, but I'm enjoying the story. I'm familiar with Hal Jordan. I'm familiar with Jon Stewart, and it's interesting seeing them both together and how the Green Lantern ring, how see the origin story of Jon Stewart. Yeah. So that's it's interesting to see. And also, I've been reading so much Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm on book 7 right now, and there's 8 that's been released. So
man, you're cruising.
Yeah, a lot of reading. My anime watching has suffered, but I'm enjoying the extra reading I've been doing this year.
Yeah, it sounds worth it. And people reading, go read. People watching and listening, you could probably clock when Mark started Dungeon Crawler Carl. It wasn't that long ago, because I remember you mentioning it on the pod when you started, and it was like a couple months ago, maybe, like not that long. So yeah, you're definitely cruising through that series.
Yeah, me and my wife just like, we read it we're in the same book now, so she's
Nice.
ahead of me. She likes to read fast, so I'm like, "Ooh, this is interesting." And she'll just look at me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what's about to happen?"
Nice.
So what do you out here watching or reading in your free time?
I've been watching Silo season 3, which has been pretty good. It's got 3 episodes left, I think, as we record this. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. The third one's a little slower because it's adapting the second book, but the second book is all flashback. It's different characters, but they're not going to bench Rebecca Ferguson for a season. So like they kind of had to tread water a little bit with her present day storyline. So they're doing a good job of it. Another good example of people don't get too mad if the changes you make work for the series. And no one was going to be happy if this season didn't have Rebecca Ferguson in it. So yeah, I've been enjoying Silo. I need to check out Lanterns. You're getting me hyped. You're like the second or third person who's mentioned it in the past day for me. The other thing, I just started a Fire and Blood reread because I have a problem. I've been replaying the Final Fantasy VII remake games because the third one comes out next year, and I am very, very excited for it. So I figure if I start now, I'll be replayed through them all by like March of next year or whenever it comes out.
We like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Real quick, I saw Rebecca Ferguson. I saw her on Winter is Coming. And I was like, where is she from? Where do I remember her from? And I was like, oh, I looked her up. I'm like, oh, she's Lady Jessica in the Dune movies. And I was like, oh, she's been in like the last 4. I don't think the last one, but the prior 3, was it Mission Impossible movies?
Yeah. Yeah, she's really having a boom in her career like the past like 5 or 6 years. She's been in a ton of stuff. She was supposed to be in a Joe Abercrombie movie too, Best Served Cold, but it sounds like that's not moving forward, unfortunately. But she was the perfect casting for that part. It was like a mercenary who gets betrayed and then goes on a vengeance, warpath type thing, avenging herself by killing all the people who betrayed her. So that's what was taken from us.
Damn it, the execs.
Yeah.
But no, I think we both are watching and reading and playing video games of a lot of interesting things that we'll get to talk about in between our time of talking about Westeros.
Yeah, totally. And we'll scope out in a future episode kind of what's coming in the fall and the winter, because it feels a little bit like House of the Dragon's done, and now there's just this huge sigh of relief and what do we do with ourselves now. But there are some other interesting things coming down the pike, including Lanterns, which is now streaming on HBO Max. So yeah, we'll be talking more about that. We'll be talking more about Westeros, all sorts of stuff in the coming weeks. So for all of you guys watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Check out winteriscoming.net, where we write about this stuff pretty much every day. And Mark, where can the people find you?
Yes, if you want to mosey over to TikTok, you can find me at House of Nettles. That's at House_of_Nettles. You see this face in the right place. Also on Instagram and YouTube as well.
Hell yeah. Well, everyone, that has been our House of the Dragon Season 3 post-mortem breakdown. Tune in next week where we talk about not House of the Dragon. It's a mystery. We'll see what happens. But for now, we'll catch you next time in Westeros. Take care, all.